The staff that waits, the tomorrow series. The road does not always announce what it wants from me. Sometimes it simply continues, and I continue with it. And somewhere between one step and the next, a question rises that has no answer waiting on the other side. For me, that question has become familiar. It walks beside me the way the staff does. Quiet, constant, unexplained. Why is the staff with me? I have asked it before. I will ask it again, and each time the road gives me no answer, only more road. There was a time before the staff. Though it feels distant now, almost like a memory belonging to someone else. Before it, there was only me and the path ahead of me, uncertain in the way every beginning is uncertain. I had already passed the first stone by then. Not the end of anything, only a marker, a single stage, in a much longer journey. The kind of place a person walks through and does not fully understand until much later, if ever. The stone was not the destination. It was simply proof that I have moved. And somewhere past it, without ceremony, without explanation, the staff became part of me. I remember the weight of it more than the moment I received it. I remember how naturally it settled into my hand, as though it had always been shaped for this grip and no other. I do not remember being told what it was for. Perhaps no one told me because no one knew. Perhaps the staff itself does not fully know. That thought used to unsettle me. Now it feels like part of the arrangement. I know some things about it, even without knowing the reason behind it. I know how it feels in my hand. Steady, present, never heavier than I can carry, never lighter than I need. I know that it listens. Not in the way a person listens, waiting for the right moment to answer, but in the way that something ancient listens, weighing an intention before it decides whether to respond. I have felt it move with me when the purpose behind a thought was honest. I have felt it hold still, resistant, immovable, when the purpose was not. This is part of the staff I have come to understand most clearly, even without the full picture. The staff has limits. It will not become an instrument for something indecent. It will not lend its strength to a moment born from the wrong intention, no matter how badly I might want it in that instant. It does not explain this refusal. It does not need to. I've learned to recognize the stillness that comes over it in those moments. A silence that is not absence, but discipline. The staff has its own code, and it does not bend simply because I wish it would. At first, this felt like a limitation. Now I wonder if it might be the opposite. A tool that will do anything you ask of it is not guidance. It is only obedience. The staff is something else. It has boundaries. The way a teacher has boundaries. The way patience has boundaries. And maybe that is the beginning of understanding why it is here. Even if the full answer has not arrived, true strength, I am starting to believe, is not only the ability to act. It is also the discipline to know what should not be done. If the staff is teaching me anything right now, before it teaches me anything else, it may be teaching me that. But understanding a fragment is not the same as understanding the whole. And I have stopped pretending otherwise. I carry the staff, and the staff carries the question of itself. And both of us continue down the same road without resolving it. I have come to think that some things are earned rather than given. Not because the world is cruel, but because certain answers only mean something once the person receiving them has become someone capable of holding that meaning. Maybe that is a lesson hiding underneath the larger one. Maybe understanding is a destination. The same way the golden place ahead of me is a destination. The same way the darkness somewhere on the edges of the road is a destination of a different kind. I am not there yet. I am only walking toward it. The training, for now, happens somewhere the world cannot see. Not on the battlefield. not in front of an audience, not anywhere a performance could be judged or applauded. It happens inside, in the quiet space before my body moves at all, where a thought first takes shape and becomes something closer to intention. I've learned that the movement is never born the instant it appears in the world. It is born earlier, invisibly, as a thought, held carefully in my mind, in the mind, examined, refined, understood before it is trusted to the body. A thought becomes a decision becomes an action, and long before any of that, there is stillness. And in that stillness, the real work is already happening. This is where I spend most of my effort now. Not the performing, but the imagining, precisely, patiently, the shape of a movement I have not yet achieved. I picture the flying yokogiri. Not the version most people imagine, the kind gathers from speed, several running steps, building toward the moment of the kick, momentum, doing the work that controls should be doing instead. That is not what I'm training toward. What I imagine is different and harder and quieter. A kick that begins from complete stillness. No run-up, no visible preparation gathering before the moment arrives. Only a standing position, and then, without warning, to anyone watching, the leap. I know this has been completed. I am careful with myself about that. It would be easy to imagine the feeling of the finished movement so vividly that it starts to feel like memory rather than goal. But I resist that. I am not there. I am training toward it. And there's the honesty in admitting the distance that remains. I break the movement down into the parts that must eventually become one. Height, first. The ability to leave the ground without enough force. From stillness alone, without the aid of momentum built elsewhere. Speed, next, not just in the leg extending, but in the whole motion, sharp and decisive, without hesitation, stealing time from the technique. Hang time, after that, the suspended moment in the air where the body holds its shape, where control matters more than effort, where a kick becomes something closer to a held breath than a strike. And finally, landing, controlled, balanced, deliberate, the part most people forget to train because it does not look impressive, even though it is often the part that decides whether everything before it meant something or fell apart. 4 parts, 1 movement, not yet one thing. I understand that power without control is incomplete. A kick with height but no landing is a fall waiting to happen. Speed without hang time is only a flinch dressed up as a technique. I do not want the version of this movement that merely looks finished. I want the version that is finished. And I know the difference between those two outcomes is exactly what the training is for. The staff is part of this process, though not in the way it might be part of a battle. It does not hand me the technique. It does not shortcut the work. Instead, it seems to know or to sense, which may be close enough to knowing when I am ready to push forward, and when pushing forward would cost me more than it would give me. There are moments in my imagined training when I feel the staff supports me, as though something in it aligns with the effort and lends its weight. It waits. And there are other moments when I feel it hold back, refusing to add its force to a movement that is not yet ready to receive it. I used to interpret that second feeling as failure. I do not anymore. I have come to understand it as protection, as preparation disguised as delay. The staff seems to carry a kind of patience I am still learning for myself, an ability to recognize that moving forward too soon does not save time. It only creates a version of progress that will need to be undone and rebuilt later, more slowly, more painfully. When the staff holds back, I now try to hear it not as rejection, but as 2 quiet words standing in for a much longer explanation. Not yet. Those words used to feel like a wall. Now they feel more like a hand placed gently on my chest, steadying me before a step I am not ready to take. The staff is not withholding the technique from me, it is withholding the wrong version of it, the rushed one, the fragile one. the one built on eagerness instead of readiness. If the staff has a purpose I have not yet uncovered, this may be a piece of it. Not to grant power, but to govern the timing of it. I think sometimes about how far there still is to go. There are forms I have not reached. There are stages of this training beyond the flying kick that remain unnamed to me. Shapes in the distance I cannot yet describe because I have not arrived close enough to see them clearly. I do not pretend to know what they are. I only trust that they exist somewhere further along the same road that carried me past the first stone, the same road that leads eventually toward the golden place I have glimpsed and the darkness I have not yet had faced directly. This episode is not about either of those. This episode is only about the staff. And I'm careful not to reach past what I actually understand. What I understand is this. The staff is with me. I listen when my intention is honest. It listens when my intention is honest. It refuses when it is not. It supports my training when I am ready to receive that support, and it withholds that support when readiness has not yet arrived. And both of those responses come from the same place, not indifference, but care shaped like discipline. I do not know why it chose me. I do not know what it ultimately wants me to become. I only know that the person who already has every answer has nothing left to walk toward, and I am not finished walking. So I continue, the staff in my hand, the question still open, the flying kick still ahead of me, 4 parts waiting to become one, a stillness waiting to become a leap. I do not demand the answer the staff has not given me. I have learned slowly that demanding does not open doors that patience was built to open instead. Tomorrow is not reached by forcing it. Tomorrow is reached by becoming the kind of person who is ready when this finally arrives. I do not know why the staff is with me. Not yet. But somewhere ahead, past the training I have not finished, past the forms I have not learned, past the part of myself still waiting to come together, the way height and speed and hang time and landing must eventually come together as one motion. I believe the reason is waiting for me too. Not because I will demand it, but because step by step, patience by patience, I am becoming someone who will finally be able to understand it when it comes. The road continues, the staff remains beside me, and I'll keep walking.